tickets or even a quick verbal acknowledgement is great. It shortens the distance between the behavior and the reward, which makes it more motivating and gives us more motivational planks. All these things, making it urgent, making it new or novel, and making it personally interesting, can give us more planks to help us get over a motivation bridge. Do we need to have all the planks in place before we start? No, of course not. And jumping over the little gaps can make us stronger. But if your bridge looks like this, don't waste energy trying to jump that gap or telling yourself or someone you love how important it is that they get it done. You know, instead, get curious about what's missing.
Exactly.
And then fill in the planks.
Thank you. That motivation bridge makes sense. So,
Thank you.
So let me just talk for a couple seconds. So the reason why I chose this topic, hey, what's good, brother Reed? Brother Reed, yeah, I got my spacesuit ready, bruh. I'm ready. As you can see, I'm doing well, you probably can't see it because I'm on a different. I'm streaming from my Twitch too, but I'm playing Cities Skyline right now because I need to get in a different mindset. I was playing 2K and my brain was like, nah, bro, I can't take a beating today. So, but yeah, bro, I'm shopping computers. I'm telling you, I'm cleaning, shopping computers because this is it. This is it. My life, my virtual life. But anyway, it's good to hear from you, brother Reed. So the reason I chose this topic for today is because we are looking for. All right, so when the power goes out, you can't do a lot of stuff. Watch TV, listen to the radio, anything of that nature, right? So it's the same thing when you're lacking motivation. When you ain't got that motivation, you can't get up, you can't eat, you can't sleep. And so with all of those, with that going on, you can say it's kind of like an electrical circuit right there. Without it, you can't power the things that you want to do. So I think the quest should be not to be getting goals completed. It should be a quest of training your motivation, your motivational antenna. Because if you can train your motivational antenna, then you can pick up a lot more energy to do a lot more things. Now, if your emotional antenna is undisciplined, then you're going to spend a lot of time picking up a lot on that you really don't want to do. But if you discipline your emotional antenna to pick up on those things, or motivational antenna, sorry, to pick up on those things that's going to get you the outcomes that you want, drive you towards the things that you want and the things that you are trying to do, then you're going to have the energy to do a lot of the time. Just a little bit of background on why I actually chose this topic for today, because I need that plug into the motivation to get my energy towards my goals. And so I'm going to myself personally seek the motivation more so than the outcome. What is driving me? What is pushing me towards what I want to do? All right, back to it. Let's get some motivational hacks. Motivation hacks. All right, here we go. Back to it.
You know those days when you really can't be bothered to get out of bed? Which is almost like every day in social isolation when you don't have anywhere to be. And then you read those stories of those go-getters who are just so darn motivated. Like the 5 a.m. club? Do I really have to wake up at 5 a.m. every morning to be considered a success? I think I'll pass. I've had a lot of conversations about the topic of motivation. And while every person is different, there are 3 science-backed tips that everyone should know. And whether you choose to wake up at 5 a.m. or not is not a determining factor. In this video, I'm going to share with you the 3 simplest hacks to motivate yourself when you just can't be bothered. Hi, I'm Sade Zarai, and I help professionals to hack their careers, overcome their limiting beliefs, and confidently create the extraordinary life they deserve. The very first thing you need to be aware of is that motivation doesn't equal action.
Yes.
You can't just sit around thinking that you'll get a shot of motivation and then you'll go out there and do whatever it is that you want to do. Actually, it's the other way around. It's action that leads to motivation. You have to actually go out there and do the thing before you can even start to feel remotely motivated about the thing. It's a slightly different way of looking at it, isn't it?
Yes.
When you go out there and you do that thing, you start to see yourself doing more of that thing. You start to visualize that achieving it isn't as difficult as you may have once thought. You start to see micro improvements in the micro steps helping you get closer to your actual goal. All of these things then add to the motivation for you to continue doing it. So talking about motivation and action, you basically have two options at this point in time. The first option is what I just talked about. You can take action. You can choose to act right now, right here, and start that thing that you've been thinking about for so long. But now the second option is what a lot of us get stuck into, and then we wonder why we have no motivation. We start procrastinating. We start overanalyzing. We overthink. And then we come up with every possible excuse, and then we hold ourselves back from taking any action at all. Those who are most successful in life, they take action over overthinking. The reality is that we all have negative self-defeatist thoughts. We all have that voice in our head telling us that we're not good enough, we're not going to be able to do it, we don't have the skills, the intelligence, the networks. And the thing is, if we actually listen to that voice, then we give it power.
Hey, what's up? Turn. There you go. Welcome to another episode of Expansion Pack. I'm your host, Dan Everman. It's good to be in here with y'all. Per usual. You know what I'm saying? We here on another Healthy Mental Thursday. And today, what are we doing today? What are we talking about today? What's your mental strength? Now, everybody has a strength. Like, all right, some people are shooters. Some people are dribblers. Some people are passers. What is your mental strength, though? I'm just using basketball as an analogy. So what is your mental strength? Now, let's get our motivation for the day, and then we'll get into our topic. Lego, let us go. Motivation for love, for relationships. On Thursday, y'all know how it go down. That's why it looked dark. There you go. All right. Let me put a filter on real quick. They might just give me all shorts then. Nah. No filter. And just scroll. I need something that's only like 6 minutes, so I don't need nothing. There you go.
Grammarly doesn't just help you with polishing
No,
your
that
pronouns.
ain't motivation for love. For relationships. That's not helping me. Motivation for healthy relationships. Motivational speech for healthy relationships. I gotta pull out all the stops, huh? I guess Jordan Peterson the only one. I think we heard this though. Let's hear
I
it.
think that you should know someone well enough so that you know if you can negotiate with them, and so that you have started.
Okay, we're gonna listen to this.
I think that you should know someone well enough so that you know if you can negotiate with them, and so that you have started to formulate a vision of your joint future that you can both look forward to with enthusiasm and confidence. And of course, that's going to depend to some degree on your level of maturity, but that means you've considered such things as, do you have a sufficient number of joint interests, and are you oriented in the same direction with regards to how you're going to handle your joint careers and the possibility of children, and the manner in which you're going to interact with your in-laws. And you have to start considering your life together from the perspective of practicality and economics, I would say. So it can't just be that massive erotic attraction that's associated with love. Although I think that's extraordinarily important, and you're unbelievably fortunate if you have that, and you should do everything you can to maintain it, and that takes effort. That takes real effort and will. But you need to ally that with with maturity and intelligence. And the maturity and intelligence is, okay, we're going to put our lives together. What's that going to look like at the level of detail? How are we going to handle our finances? Where are we going to live? What are our joint plans going to be? If you want to set up a household with someone, then there's a lot of things that you need to get straight. And you either do that by bringing your unconscious assumptions to bear on the situation and perhaps clashing where they don't match, or you sit down like a conscious and aware and articulate couple and start to negotiate what your joint responsibilities are going to be. And so that would be, well, who's responsible for the meals and when, and what are you going to eat, and who's going to get groceries, and who's going to pay the bills, and who's going to do which part of what household chores there are to do, and how is that going to be laid out fair. And so you should get to know the person that you're with well enough so that you can start discussing the real practical issues of life and determine whether or not you're capable of negotiating that.
Right.
Unless you've really made a commitment to someone, like a lifetime commitment, and that's a serious commitment, one that you're not going to back out of. You're not going to take the relationship with the seriousness that's necessary to make it of the highest possible quality and sustainability across the course of your life. And it's really important that it is of that high quality and sustainability, because the relationship, especially when it starts to produce children, is a machine, let's say, a machine that you jointly operate that adds immensely to the quality of your life and the depth of your life. I mean, you have the rope and strand of your life, and your partner has the strands and the rope of his or her life, and then those are tied together to make a stronger rope. And then that unites you across time, and then you undertake massive adventures together. And some of that is the establishment of a household and the establishment of joint careers and the maintenance of each other's mental and physical health and the maintenance of a high quality sexual life and all of that. Very, very challenging to do all of that. And then the joint production and care of children, which, don't be thinking that you can't organize your life when you have children. The thing about modern people is that they're terrified of children. And it's because they regard children as if they're miniature tyrants. And they can be, of course, because anyone will tyrannize over you if you allow them to. Perhaps not anyone, but virtually anyone. Why not regulate your children's behavior? I wrote a chapter in my new book called Don't Let Your Children Do Anything That Makes You Dislike Them. And that's like really serious advice. It's like, if you allow your children to conduct themselves around you in a manner that makes you dislike them, if you're paying attention to the shadow side of yourself that can be aggressive and destructive, then having children is going to mess up your life. But you don't have to do that. You actually have a tremendous amount of control over the quality of your relationship with your children, and also the manner in which you choose to disperse your time. And I mean, don't be afraid of children, man. You're the adult, for God's sake. You've got the upper hand, and if you have a partner you can rely on, well then, you can both decide how it is that you're going to run your household so that you're actually thrilled to death that you have kids and that you have a life. Well, so I have a good marriage, thank God for that, and that's partly due to the outstanding moral quality of my wife, who I'm also extraordinarily attracted to. We've built a life together, and we've had kids together, and we're happy with our kids, and we had plenty of struggle with our kids, because one of our children, my daughter, had serious health problems, which she seems to have managed to resolve, partly as a consequence of her own brilliance. But we've set ourselves up now so that our children are respectable and mature young adults, so thank God for that. And they've got partners who we both really like, and they're going to have children, and well, hooray, that means that this next part of my life is going to be something that I can advance into with a fair bit of hope. The shackled together is more like it's such a, I may have even said that, but it's such a cynical way of looking at it. Yeah. It's more like what you've produced is an unbreakable bond between two beings, and that makes both of them better in every way if it's a relationship that's based on trust and genuine communication. It's a very difficult thing to attain, because you have to be willing to tell the truth, and the truth is generally a horrible thing. I mean, it's easy to tell truth when everyone wants to hear what you have to say, but it's very difficult to tell the truth when no one wants to hear it, least of all yourself. You're not coming clean about old lies generally, if that will ruin lives. And I don't think you forgive yourself precisely and focus on living truthfully in the future. You focus on living truthfully in the future, and perhaps you don't forgive yourself exactly. That doesn't mean you pound yourself into the ground with guilt. But if you have done things in the past that were reprehensible and that would destroy lives if were brought to light, then you should, I think that generally speaking, you should do everything you can to limit the spread of damage as you attempt to move truthfully into the future. You should get to know someone long enough to know that you two can tell the truth with each other, communicate, and negotiate, because the most important part of a relationship is the fact that you can tell each other the truth and negotiate.
That's for y'all love right there. That's for y'all love right there. Hope y'all got somebody that y'all love in y'all life. All right, now let's move on to our topic today. What's your mental strength? All right. Finding useful properties about yourself. Hey, Dr. Green, or Robert Green. Let's see what he said.
You are a much more interesting person than you give credit for, because you're trying to act, you're trying to fit into the group and be what other people want you to be.
Yeah.
And you know, we all want the power to change ourselves, right? That's why self-help books do so well.
Yeah.
But you can't begin to change yourself in any meaningful way until you confront who you really are. You know, if you go out in public and you don't look in a mirror, your hair you're going to look really weird,
Yeah.
right? You can't begin to like improve your looks until you look in the mirror. You can't begin to change yourself until you look into that mirror of who you really are. All that other stuff that you don't want to confront.
Yeah.
You are a much more interesting
about
person
that,
than you
Mr.
give credit for.
Mr. Green, you all right? Mr. Green. Oh, it's like to go back on us.
Why should people join us on May 15th?
Because the game's changed. There are a bunch of things happening right now that we're all aware of. Massive inflation.
Hey Psych2Goers, welcome back to our channel. Thank you all so much for the love and support that you've given us.
What time it is
Your
now?
ongoing support has helped us make psychology and mental health more accessible to everyone. So thanks again. Now let's continue. Ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle once said, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." But how many of us really take the time to reflect on our deepest thoughts, feelings, and experiences to get a good sense of who we are? Nowadays, life moves so fast, it sometimes feels like we don't even have time to breathe, much less take the time for introspection.
Right.
But getting to know yourself and learning more about who you are as a person can actually do a lot to make you happier, resolve your inner conflicts, improve your relationships with others, and most of all, improve your relationship with yourself. So, here are 8 of the most important things you should know about yourself. Number 1. What makes you happy? One of the most rewarding things you can learn about yourself is what makes you happy. But you might rarely ever take the time to reflect on it. And although asking yourself this can seem like such a loaded question, being honest about what you're most passionate about and who you enjoy spending time with is crucial to finding your purpose in life and nurturing your mental and emotional well-being. Finding your happiness, even if it's just in the little, everyday things, can do so much to improve the quality of your life and help you realize what you should and shouldn't prioritize. Number 2, your core values. Do you think honesty matters more than sensitivity? What about hard work versus resourcefulness, or ambition versus loyalty? Would you prefer others to be more open-minded or more traditional? What about community versus self-interest, or freedom versus loyalty? Knowing what ideas, virtues, or principles you value the most is crucial for not only your understanding more about who you are as a person, but also what you want from your relationships. Your core values are the ideas you want to uphold, and they give your life meaning and direction when you need to make a difficult decision or when stuck in times of strife. Number 3, how you respond to stress. Are you calm under pressure or panicky and anxious? Do you usually run away from conflict or face it head on? Knowing your go-to stress response is key to succeeding in difficult and demanding situations. Responding to stress in an unhealthy way, like denying all of your problems or procrastinating until the very last minute, holds you back from achieving your goals by trapping you in a dysfunctional pattern of behavior. When you're more aware of how you react in a stressful situation, you're better able to manage your anxiety, avoid the pitfalls of these unhealthy coping mechanisms, and stay resilient, even amidst emotional distress. Number 4, your physical health. When you take care of your body, you make it easier for yourself to manage stress and fight against the symptoms of anxiety, depression, and fatigue. So it's important that you know what illnesses and medical conditions you may have and treat them as soon as possible to avoid further complications.
Right.
For example, when left untreated, hyperthyroidism can actually lead to developing depression. So the more you know about your physical health, the better off you'll be mentally and emotionally. Number 5, your personality type. Are you an introvert or an extrovert? What's your MBTI type? Enneagram type? How do you rank in terms of the big 5 personality factors? Now, you might not even begin to know how to answer these questions, but taking a personality test is actually one of the easiest and most insightful ways you can get to know yourself better. Knowing your personality type can give you a deeper understanding of all the things that make you who you are and why you are the way that you are. It's a simple, fun, and interesting way to learn new things about yourself. Number 6, your strengths.
There we go.
The sooner you learn what you excel at, the sooner you can start honing these skills and realizing your full potential. Are you good at cooking or dancing? Do you have a nice singing voice or a talent for writing? Do you easily finish puzzles and riddles? Or are you more interested in debate and public speaking? Are you a people person, a natural-born leader, a gifted athlete? The truth is, until you put yourself out there and give it a try, you'll never know. Number 7, your weaknesses. Just as it's important to know where your strengths lie, it's also important for you to be aware of your own faults, flaws, and limitations. Of course, even though we all know that nobody is perfect, it's not always easy to admit to yourself what your weaknesses are. But having some insight into the things you struggle with and why can give you a clearer understanding of all the ways you could be holding yourself back. Are you trying to force yourself to be good at something you don't even enjoy?
Yeah, you don't even like
Or
that.
are you
Right.
pursuing a career that doesn't suit your interests and skill sets?
Right about that. Thanks for that.
Once you know
Thank
all of your
Thank
weaknesses,
you, Psych2Go.
you can either work to overcome them or learn to work around them. Either way, it's a good step to take towards personal growth and self-improvement. And number 8, your ideal self. If there's one thing about yourself you should always keep in mind, it's who you want to be in the future.
Okay.
Who are the people you look up to and why? What is it about them that you admire? And what is it you see in yourself that you feel is worth nurturing? Getting in the habit of asking yourself things like, what does this choice or action say about me? And is this in line with my best self? Brings you closer to the kind of person you're striving to be. It helps you stay true to your own values, passions, and goals. So, how well do you know yourself? Did this video help you discover what your core values
I hope
are?
that this video
Or help
helped
you
y'all discover what y'all know about yourself, or how you feel about yourself, or maybe what your mental strength is. Now let's watch a fun video real quick. Do we got 16 minutes? Maybe we do.
Rapid tissue regeneration. So, you're chopping vegetables for dinner and accidentally nick your finger. But instead of reaching for a Band-Aid, you watch in amazement as the cut closes up faster than you can say, "What the hell?" Well, this is because you have rapid tissue regeneration, which is like having Wolverine's healing factor, minus the adamantium claws and brooding personality. The body can repair or replace damaged tissues at an accelerated rate. It's as if your cells decided to take a crash course in speed healing and graduated with flying colors. In nature, we see some pretty impressive examples of regeneration, like the axolotl, a little salamander that can regrow entire limbs like it's no big deal. So you're basically the lizard equivalent of saying, "Oh, I lost an arm? No worries, I'll just grow a new one, bub." while humans can't regrow limbs yet, we do have some pretty impressive healing abilities. Our liver, for example, can regenerate itself even if up to 75% of it is removed. Hypermobility. It's been 6 weeks since you went on America's Got Talent to show off your skills. And while you didn't win the prize or anything, you gathered a massive following on YouTube because of your insanely amazing ability to twist and bend your joints and bones as if they were made out of jelly. This weird condition happens because you have hypermobility, which means you are the human equivalent of a rubber band. You can even stretch to points that would break a rubber band. You're like the real-life Elastic Girl, minus the beautiful bodysuit. If you have hypermobility, it would mean that your ligaments and tendons are like overcooked spaghetti, floppy and loose, and they can literally turn like a Ferris wheel. You'd be able to do things regular people can't do with their bodies, like touch your nose with your toes, or bend your thumb back to touch your wrist or your elbow. Now, this might sound like the dream superpower of every ballerina, gymnast, or yoga instructor, but hypermobility can be a double-edged sword. You'd be prone to constant muscle and joint dislocation because you're basically spending your whole day twisting and turning your bones like jelly. Insensitivity to temperature. It's a scorching 40 degrees outside, and everyone is outside with their tank tops and bottles of water complaining of a heat wave. Yet you're casually strolling around in long sleeves with a thick hooded sweater and joggers. Crazy enough, you're not sweating at all, and even though people are looking at you crazily, you literally cannot feel the heat they keep talking about. Unknown to you, you have a congenital insensitivity to temperature. It's a rare condition where your body's thermostat decides to quit its job and go on an eternal vacation, making your body forget the difference between hot and cold. You could literally be standing in a burning furnace or the middle of a snowstorm in a bikini and feel absolutely nothing. This weird condition can be super dangerous because your body's ability to detect temperatures can save you from dying. Imagine freezing to death and having absolutely no idea. You could literally be walking around with burn marks all over your arm and have no idea how they got there, even though you're always resting your body on hot piping stoves. Unfortunately, due to their inability to feel pain, individuals with SEPA often injure themselves without realizing it, leading to untreated wounds and frequent infections. Hyperacusis. Ever since you were a kid, you've had to wear noise-canceling headphones 24/7 because you can hear everything around you and it's very, very loud. The birds chirping in the trees a block away, the tiny beeping of the refrigerator back in the kitchen, and even the worm burrowing in the ground in your backyard would sound like a sonic boom has hit you. This super hearing results from hyperacusia, a condition that makes every sound around you cranked up to 1,000. It's like having a built-in volume knob that's perpetually stuck on way too loud. If you have hyperacusis, everyday sounds can be as overwhelming as sitting in the front row at a heavy metal concert. A whisper might sound like a shout, and don't even get me started on the chaos of a busy street. It's like your ears are playing an eternal game of everything is lava, but with noise. Even the soft drizzle of rain falling would sound like a hailstorm. Scientists believe hyperacusis could be caused by damage to the auditory pathways or changes in how the brain processes sound. It's like their brain decided to crank up the volume on life's soundtrack without asking for permission first. Other factors like head injuries or certain medications can also cause hyperacusis, and the condition often comes hand in hand with tinnitus, which is the situation where your ear is buzzing non-stop like there's a bee stuck inside. If you have hyperacusis, you'll develop creative coping mechanisms like always wearing noise-canceling earplugs and headphones. You'd literally give new meaning to the phrase "silence is golden," because you can do anything necessary to shut out the noise. Dermo-optical perception. You're at your town's annual Easter fair, stuffing your face with cotton candy and cinnamon rolls faster than you can chew and swallow, when you suddenly see a woman reading a newspaper with her eyes closed and completely blindfolded. She's weirdly rubbing the newspaper along her arms and skin. What you've just witnessed isn't your average magic trick, but a condition called dermo-optical perception. People with this condition say they can see colors and shapes or even read books with just their skin. It's like their epidermis decided to change into a weird pair of eyeballs.
Word.
As crazy as this sounds, scientists have been scratching.
Yo, I never heard of this one. Wow, hyperacusis. Everything being too loud. Crazy. Now, that one you might be having that or experiencing that because the TV don't be that loud.
Their heads over this since the 1960s, when a Russian woman named Rosa Kuleshova claimed she could read newspapers with her fingertips. After that, everyone and their grandmother claimed they had magical skin and could identify colors by touch, while others boasted about reading books with their armpits. But after years of research, it's been really difficult to prove if DOP is legit or just an elaborate magic trick. Some studies suggest it might be real, while others call it a magic trick. Some people believe those who claim to have DOP can tell a color just by touching it because of the temperature difference between colors, while some others believe it could just be plain old clever guessing. Eidetic memory. So, your midterm tests are coming up, and while everyone in the class is stressing about studying and all, you are busy sleeping, playing on your phone, and watching TikTok videos of cats. The reason why you're so chill is because you literally have a superpower and can know every single sentence and word in your huge biology textbook within 24 hours. This is because you have a condition known as eidetic memory, which is basically like having
This sound familiar, Zanita 67?
Google Street View in your head, but for every moment of your life. It's as if your brain took photographic memory too literally and decided to become the world's most detailed walking, talking scrapbook. The minute you lay your eyes on something, your brain would go click, and just like that, it's saved in your memory forever. If you glance by a room while walking past, you can immediately recall every detail. The carpet pattern, the exact shade of blue on the wall, and even the number of cracks in the ceiling with extreme precision. It's like having a mental DVR that's always set to record, but without a delete button. Heightened olfactory sense. Imagine you're going down the street, minding your business, when suddenly your nose goes into overdrive. It's like your nose got a superpower upgrade, and suddenly you've gone from an ordinary person to someone with an extraordinary nose. This is basically what having heightened olfactory senses means. It's like having a high-definition TV, but for your nose. So while others might just smell something cooking, you can tell it's a triple cheese pizza with extra garlic and a hint of oregano. To some people, this just happens suddenly. They can just wake up one morning and realize that their sense of smell has just become very powerful. You can smell your neighbor's coffee brewing 3 houses down, and even the faint aroma of your coworker's perfume, even though she drove by 10 minutes ago. However, with great power comes great responsibility, because you would also experience the worst part of this condition. Imagine you're in a vicinity with a public toilet or a local dump. Then it would automatically turn into a nasal nightmare. Charles Bonnet Syndrome. You're walking down the busy road, minding your business, when you suddenly see a green elephant wearing a tutu and a top hat strolling down the sidewalks. You blink twice as hard to see if you're actually daydreaming or someone spiked your muffin with some shrooms. Well, no, you've not had some weird edibles. You're probably experiencing Charles Bonnet Syndrome. This condition is named after a Swiss philosopher in 1760 after he probably thought he saw some mouse reciting a sonnet from Shakespeare one day in his study. Charles Bonnet Syndrome affects people with visual impairment. It's literally a condition where your mind gets bored and rebels against you because you're not feeding it enough visuals.
Hold on. So what happens?
So it starts to create its own ridiculous pictures. It's like your brain is saying, if you're not going to give me visual input, I'll make my own, thank you very much. These hallucinations can range from normal bright-colored mosaic patterns appearing everywhere, seeing people that look like they just got out of the set of Little Woman, to batshit crazy like seeing a unicorn flying in the sky or seeing a T-Rex strutting into your living room. It's like having a personal augmented reality system minus the cool headset. Charles Bonnet Syndrome isn't so much of a superpower as it is a nuisance.
Right, I'm about to say, so what are you actually seeing? Is it just that somebody else just tell you, all right, that ain't there? Or is it like, bro, I just saw that? That's crazy. I'm going to look that up. Charles Bonnet Syndrome. How many people wish they had this eidetic memory? Exactly. Listen, if I had that, I could at least not lose my keys. I know some people like this, right?
It could really put a strain on all areas of your life. Imagine making out with your partner and seeing a spider crawling over their face, a scene out of a nightmare. These hallucinations can be incredibly disruptive and emotionally taxing. Unfortunately, this condition affects an estimated 47 million people worldwide, and currently, there's no cure to stop it. Hyperreflexia. Hyperreflexia is a condition where a person's reflexes are, quite literally, on overdrive. It's like their nervous system decided to chug a triple espresso and then run a marathon, all while trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded. You see, your nervous system has this neat little loop called the reflex arc. It is a straightforward pathway where your body's neurons detect stimuli. Let's say someone taps you on the knee. This reflex arc would send a message to the spinal cord, which would send a command back to your muscles immediately, so your knee would automatically react and jerk up. Now, all of this happens in the blink of an eye, so in a way you can say your system's reflex is like a well-trained butler that responds promptly, appropriately, and only when called upon. Now, in hyperreflexia, your reflex arc gets a little too enthusiastic, leading to exaggerated responses. Imagine every time someone wraps your knee, it kicks out like a soccer player trying to score a winning goal. It's like having a car that accelerates every time you lightly touch the gas pedal. This condition is often caused when you've had a spinal cord injury or stroke, which can cause damage to the brain and lead to highly heightened reflexes. It'll look as if your spinal cord decided to become an overzealous traffic cop, letting signals zoom by at lightning speed without regard for the speed limit. This condition can be pretty unpredictable and surprising to live with, but you're sure nothing would ever catch you by surprise, so a win is a win. At least you'll never have a dull moment. If you want to find out more about weird superpowers that you might possibly have, then join our Discord server today to stay informed and updated on all the latest gist. Osteokinesis. Osteokinesis is the insane, almost creepy ability to manipulate and control your bones with your mind. It's not just about waving your hand or shaking your leg, it's about shifting your bones independently of your muscles. It's like having an internal puppeteer, but instead of strings, you're pulling on your own skeletal structure. Talk about being comfortable in your own skin and bones. To understand osteokinesis, let's take a peek inside our bodies. Normally, your bones are moved by muscles attached to them. Muscles contract and your bones follow. It's a simple and reliable system, much like how your cat expects you to follow its every whim. However, in someone with osteokinesis, bones can move independently of these muscles. You'd be able to reshape your skeleton at will, potentially growing taller, shorter, or even giving yourself a temporary hunchback. You basically have a built-in Halloween costume. Quasimodo one day, Slender Man the next.
I don't understand this one. I don't understand this. I gotta see. Hold on, I didn't mean to reload it.
Rapid tissue regeneration trick. Some people believe those who had some weird edibles, you're pros. This is basically what having heightened disruptive automatically react. And to understand osteokinesis,
hold on, I gotta see an example of this. I cannot go without seeing an example of this. How I spell it? Osteokinesis. I don't get it. Good morning, everyone. Let's see. Oh, I gotta go on Facebook. All right. Well, we just gonna keep it in our mind. But I don't
Let's
understand
take a peek
this.
inside. You basically have mid-jump or a jump in their own bodies to new heights. Anyway, you still have your arms mid-jump. Quasimodo one day, Slender Man the next. Imagine a basketball player who could extend their arms mid-jump, or
like
a gymnast who could adjust their spine for the perfect landing. They'd be raising the bar, and their own bodies, to new heights. Anyway, you still have to be careful if you have this condition, because even though it can make life more interesting and definitely keep orthopedic doctors on their toes, one wrong bone shift and you might end up looking like a living Picasso painting, abstract and confusing to the general public. Hyperacuity. Are you familiar with the term, you can't spot a needle in a haystack? Well, don't tell that to someone with hyperacuity, because they can spot a needle even if it's buried in a haystack, wrapped in a sack, and then thrown into a crowded room. Now, hyperacuity refers to the ability to perceive fine details with an exceptional level of precision. Think of it as having a magnifying glass mode built into your senses. And yes, this condition does not only apply to your visuals. Some people have auditory hyperacuity, a situation where every whisper, creak, and hum becomes part of your personal soundtrack. It's like your ears have gone from standard definition to high definition surround sound. You can hear conversations from across the room, the subtle rustle of leaves, or the faint buzzing of a fly like it's right next to you. Then there's tactile hyperacuity. Remember the story of the princess and the pea? She could feel a pea under 20 mattresses? That's a classic case of tactile hyperacuity. People with this super sense can detect even the slightest changes in texture, pressure, or temperature. While this might sound glamorous, it means you're the one who notices the tiny scratch on your phone screen or the uneven stitching on your shirt. You're also the person who can't wear wool because it feels like a cactus is hugging you.
Right.
Of course, every superpower has its kryptonite, and for those with hyperacuity, it's sensory overload and meltdown. Supercentenarians. Every year, your entire extended family gathers to celebrate the life of your great-great-great-great-grandmother. This year, it's your turn to plan the party, and honestly, putting in 135 birthday candles on a cake seems like an impossible chore.
That's a thing? Supercentenarians. People who just old and they...
So instead, you tell the cake decorator to slap the word supercentenarian on it. A supercentenarian is anyone who's lived to or past their 110th birthday.
Wow.
They're like the Olympic gold medalist of aging, but instead of a medal, they get, well, more candles on their cake. They typically live their lives free from most age-related sickness or disease. Talk of an actual superpower. Seeing a supercentenarian is as rare as seeing a teenager without an iPhone. As of 2021, there were only about 30 verified living supercentenarians in the world. So technically, you're more likely to get struck by...
I wonder who their parents are. That's a good question.
Lightning on a sunny day than see a supercentenarian. When you see one, it might very well be a woman, because about 90% of supercentenarians worldwide are women. It's like the ladies are not just outliving men, they're outliving them by decades. The oldest verified person was Jean Clément of France, who lived to the ripe old age of 122 years and 164 days. She passed away in 1997, probably from the sheer exhaustion of learning to use a new TV remote every decade. Some researchers are hoping for a crash course of supercentenarians. He passed away in 122 years and 164 days. She passed away in 1997, probably from the sheer exhaustion of learning to use a new TV remote every decade. Some researchers are hoping for a crash course of Supercentenarians 101, hoping to unlock the secrets of longevity. Many supercentenarians share that not drinking, smoking, maintaining a healthy weight, and winning the genetic lottery is their secret recipe to living that long.
I'm glad we got to go through all of them. I'm sitting here looking at this osteokinesis. Yeah, because I just can't see how that could be happening in a way that you could be doing it. I don't know, that ain't hurting in a way that don't hurt. Anyway, let me keep us going. So we only talking about this was fun. We only talking about this so that we can all feel better. We all compete every single day for our resources out here in the world. So it's good to have some assurances that we can handle, or that we got some tool to help us push back against what we up against. All right. What is mental strength, though? All right, let's go. That looked good, but oh, okay.
Mental strength is really a continuum. Everybody possesses it to some degree, just like physical strength. But people aren't either mentally strong or mentally weak. It's that we have a certain amount of mental strength. And then we can always choose to become stronger. There's always room for improvement. It's all about the choices you make, the exercises you do, and the way that you choose to live your life. You know it's a problem when you feel like you're not reaching your greatest potential. When you know that there are things you could be doing, but you don't do them because something's holding you back, it's usually our mindset. There's something going on that's causing us to not take those steps that we want to take. So there's a big difference between being mentally strong and acting tough, and a lot of people get that mixed up.
Right.
So people who are acting tough will say things like, failure isn't an option. Well, if you want to be mentally strong, it's more about recognizing failure might actually happen, but I'm strong enough to deal with it if it does.
Right.
So whether you're going to ask for a promotion or you're going to apply for a new job, it's not about positive thinking and thinking this is definitely going to turn out right. Maybe it's about realistic thinking and recognizing this may not work, but to also remind yourself you're strong enough to handle it. So anxiety is meant to keep us safe. If you didn't have any anxiety,
right.
you wouldn't look both ways
Now,
before you...
I want to repeat that, what she said. Anxiety is meant to keep us safe. All right? If you ain't got no anxiety, your ass running into traffic.
Across the road. If there's a hungry lion chasing you, you knew to run. And somewhere along the lines, we started confusing, say, social rejection and small failures in the office with thinking that somehow that's dangerous. In today's world, we don't face nearly as many of those same physical kinds of dangers. Maybe it is a social risk. Maybe it's a financial risk. Our brains often have false alarms. If you're in a situation where you're in physical danger, you want that alarm bell to go off.
Exactly.
But you don't want it to go off when you're just, say, asking for a raise, because it makes it much more difficult to do. So just recognizing I'm not in danger, my body thinks I am, and that's why my heart is beating fast and my palms are sweaty. But that just because you feel that way doesn't mean that you shouldn't take the risk.
Exactly.
An important part of building mental strength is about doing things that challenge you. Just like if you wanted to build physical strength, you need to lift weights. And when those weights aren't heavy anymore, you need to lift heavier weights. So it comes down to recognizing what's kind of uncomfortable for you and how do you take those steps. And it's different for all of us. For some people, speaking up in a meeting is terrifying. For other people, it's no big deal. They can't stop talking, in fact. So to just recognize, what are some small things I could do that would challenge myself? And it might be striking up a conversation at a networking event. It might be saying I'm going to speak up 2 times in every meeting I go to. Or maybe it's about I'm going to respond to emails and say no, because I'm a people pleaser. Just asking yourself, what are some small things that I could do that would be a little bit risky, that would challenge me to step outside my comfort zone, and then keep practicing it until it doesn't get scary anymore. The more that you keep challenging yourself at a moderate pace, the more that you realize you're stronger than you think, and you'll actually train your brain to see yourself as more capable and more competent than you think that you are. Because there's a good chance right now your brain will talk you out of doing anything that's uncomfortable. Your brain wants you to stay in your comfort zone. So it will tell you, don't apply for that new job. Don't speak up in that meeting. Nobody's going to listen to you. Don't volunteer to give a presentation. But when you do those things, even though your brain's telling you not to, your brain will start to shift. It will start to see, okay, maybe you can do these things. Once you train your brain to think differently, it becomes easier, because then your brain won't try to talk you out of doing anything that's uncomfortable. And sometimes you just have to think about worst case scenario. You apply for a promotion and you don't get it. Well then, how would you handle that? What would you do? And sometimes we imagine ourselves just so fragile that we think we can't handle it. We think, oh, I'll be so sad, I'll be so embarrassed. But to really just take a minute and think, well, how could I handle feeling sad? How can I handle my embarrassment in a healthy way? Just reminding yourself of that can give you the courage to take the leap. So even though I've been talking about mental strength for years now, I continue to still challenge myself and find things that are tough. And again, it's not always about what other people might think is tough. I can get on stage, I can speak in front of a group of people, and I feel like that is comfortable. But sometimes what's not as comfortable is, say, going to a networking event where I don't know anybody. So I challenge myself before I walk in the door. I'm going to meet 5 people when I'm here today. And so I'm always finding different ways in my life to say, how do I get better? How can I get stronger? How can I challenge myself to be slightly uncomfortable? And life gets so much easier. The things that I used to find difficult, no problem now. And so I just always am working at how do you just stay just uncomfortable enough that you feel like you're growing, learning, and building more mental muscle.
Now that was a key word. Let me see if I can get that to pop up. Mental muscle, because that's what it's all about. Dang, I wish we had another 5 minutes. And we don't. We don't. So what we'll do is we'll get some quotes to help mentally on the way out, and then we'll go from there.
If you don't go after what you want, you'll never have it. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. If you don't step forward, you're always in the same place. Quote by Nora Roberts. Great things don't happen while you are waiting for them. Have the courage to challenge whatever comes your way and thrive to learn as many things as you can to make you closer to your goals. Whoever loves much, performs much, and can accomplish much, and what is done in love is done well.
Yes, sir.
Quote by Vincent van Gogh. Do the things that you enjoy doing because only then you become more productive and bring out great results which will keep you more focused on what you are doing.
Yes, sir.
You find peace not by rearranging the circumstances of your life, but by realizing who you are at the deepest level. Quote by Eckhart Tolle. Knowing yourself will help you have a better vision of your goals and your future. It will also boost your confidence and help you accept who you are despite your flaws. 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than by the ones you did do. So throw off the bowlines. Sail away from the safe harbor. Catch the trade winds in your sails. Explore, dream, discover. Quote by H. Jackson Brown, Jr. You are great and are capable of doing great things, and you can achieve whatever you want. Do not let fear drag you down and prevent you from trying new things. There are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. Quote by Albert Einstein. Everything depends on how you perceive it. So dream big, choose the positive side, and you will be blessed with great outcomes. Whenever you should doubt your self-worth, remember the lotus flower. Even though it plunges to life from beneath the mud, it does not allow the dirt that surrounds it to affect its growth or beauty. Quote by Susie Kassem. Do not ever doubt yourself. You deserve all the good things, and when you don't feel like yourself, remember that we all at some point in our lives have our dark side. You've done it before, and you can do it now. See the positive possibilities. Redirect the substantial energy of your frustration and turn it into positive, effective, unstoppable determination. Quote by Ralph Marston. Negative emotions can help bring out the best in you. When hardships knock at your door, all you have to do is believe in yourself and remember the reason you are fighting for. Nobody can go back and start a new beginning, but anyone can start today and make a new ending.
Yes, sir.
Quote by Maria Robinson. Moving on and forgiving yourself for the mistakes you have made in the past will help you to move on and start a new, fresh beginning to achieve your goals. To catch the butterflies and the rainbows of your dream, walk alone, keep faith in yourself, focus your energy, and start the adventure. Quote by Amit Ray. Life throws challenges, and every challenge comes with rainbows and lights to conquer it. However difficult life may seem, there is always something you can do and succeed at. Concentrate all your thoughts upon the work in hand. The sun's rays do not burn until brought to a focus.
Oh, yes, sir.
Quote by Alexander Graham Bell.
Yes, sir.
Focus all your energy on that one important thing and give it all your attention to become good at it, and you achieve great results. The most important thing in life is to stop saying, I wish, and start saying, I will. Consider nothing impossible, then treat possibilities as probabilities. Quote by Charles Dickens. All your dreams and wishes can come true when you start working hard.
Treat possibilities like probabilities. All right, y'all. We're going to go ahead and get up out of here for the day. Let me go ahead and switch over. Let me get y'all a nice message to go out on, though. I ain't just going to leave y'all. So, your mental strength is your mental strength. You use it to lift, do, and carry yourself throughout the day. And my personal belief is that it's all we got. It's all we run on. Just like I said on Tech Tuesday, if you was to pull the electricity from this screen, this computer, everything, it would be inanimate. And so you take your mental strength and you turn that into the power you use to drive you forward. Use it, rely on whatever your mental strength is, that core value or belief that you hold on to that propels you, or that ability to get yourself through to the next day, or whatever it is that you use mentally to power yourself. Keep using it, because if you remove that one thing or that thing, then let's just say you're weak or powerless, and nobody wants to be weak and powerless. All right, y'all, that was another Healthy Mental Thursday. I'm glad y'all joined me here on Expansion Pack, and we're going to get on up out of here. So there will not be an episode for Fun Friday tomorrow. I got a few things to do, but we'll catch y'all. I'll catch y'all back here again on Mindful Monday, and we're going to get up out of here for the week. This is DGTA TV. Peace. I'll let y'all next week.
For many cultures, a raven plays a big part in creation. In the beginning, there was no moon or stars at night, and the raven was the most powerful being. He made all the living creatures on the earth, including man, but they lived in darkness. The raven learned a great chief had a daughter who carried the sun, moon, and stars in cedar boxes, so the raven went and stole all of them, giving them to the world.
16.
Hindu creation story. In the Rig Veda, it tells of Purana, the animal. This narrative is a Norse myth, compressing all of Earth's history and future into 60 poetic stanzas. In it, Odin requests the seeress Volva to share her prophecies with mankind. She tells the story of creation when the world was a mere gap before Odin and the other gods created Midgard and named morning, noon, afternoon, and eve before days with mankind. She tells the story of creation when the world was a mere gap before Odin and the other gods created Midgard and named morning, noon, afternoon, and eve. Eventually, the first war between Aesir and Vanir ended with Vanir becoming gods, which resembled the enduring conflict before the end of the world, called Ragnarok.
14.
Japanese creation story. In this myth, the elements were mixed together to create one germ of life. When it mixed things around, the heavier parts sank and the lighter rose. A muddy sea was created, and a shoot sprang forth and reached the clouds, entering the sky. This created a god, and it grew lonely and created other gods. Two, called Izanagi and Izanami, were the most remarkable and formed most of the earth.
13.
Sumerian creation myth. For the ancient Sumerians, in the beginning there was only the goddess Namu. She gave birth to the universe, Anki, who then gave birth to the air god Enlil. Enlil split the universe in two, making An the sky god and Ki the goddess of the earth. Eventually, many gods came into existence, and they were made to do hard labor until they rebelled. Enlil came up with a plan to create lesser beings to serve the gods. They elected Geshtui, who had great intelligence, to be sacrificed. Ninmah, the birth goddess, mixed his flesh and blood, and all the gods spat on it. His body was made into clay, which eventually made 7 men and 7 women.
12.
Pelasgian creation story. In this myth, Eurynome was the goddess of all things, and the only one in the beginning. She rose out of the chaos naked and divided the sea from the sky and danced on its waves. She caught hold of a north wind, rubbed it between her hands, and created the serpent Ophion. When Eurynome danced, Ophion grew lustful, coiled up her limbs, and coupled with her. She became with child and birthed the sun, moon, stars, and the earth with its mountains and rivers. They made their home on Mount Olympus. But when Ophion taunted her by saying he created the universe, she brushed his head with her heel and kicked him down to the lower places of the earth.
11.
Enuma Elish. This myth comes from ancient Mesopotamian tablets dating back to 1100 BCE. But it's worth noting they were all copies, and the myth likely is much older. In it, the beginning was filled with chaotic water that divided into fresh water, known as the god Apsu, and salt water, known as the goddess Tiamat. These two gods give birth to other gods. These other gods began to cause trouble and upset Apsu so much he wanted to kill them, which created a conflict between him and Tiamat. From the conflict, a great warrior named Marduk fired an arrow at Tiamat and splits her in two, which is said to have created the Tigris and the Euphrates River. From her corpse, the heavens and the earth were created.
10.
Kumulipo. A Hawaiian creation account very similar to Rangian Papa, the Kumulipo is a chant which told of how the earth first became hot and land came from the slime of the sea. A dark cavern, a male, and a moonless night, a female, gave birth to the life of the sea. Afterward, flying creatures were born, and soon after that, the creatures of the land. Finally, from the union of La'ila'i with Ki'i and Cain came humanity, and it was day.
9.
Jainism. The Jains have a much different take on the creation of the universe than many cultures in that it never happened. Essentially, within Jainism, nothing in this world is ever created or destroyed. They merely change forms. The universe has always existed and will always exist. Time for the Jains is cyclical.
8.